I remember the smell first. Not sight. Not sound. The smell. It was like a cathedral burning. Charred stone, smoldering incense, and the thick copper sting of blood. Hot. Wet. Unending. It filled my lungs before I opened my eyes. It coated my tongue before I could swallow. And when I did open my eyes, I understood that Gotham was gone. I was not in Gotham. Not anymore. The sky was black, but not the velvet black of a city night. It was thicker. A void smeared with violent colors, purples and reds, and things my mind insisted were moving. Like oil on water. Like bruises on flesh. I staggered, cape dragging against ash. The world was not silent. No, there were whispers. Millions of them. Crawling under my cowl, through my ears, soft and insistent. They spoke my name. Bruce, detective, father, betrayer. I wanted to tear the mask off. But the mask is not just cloth. It is me. Without it, I am naked. And I cannot be naked here. I clenched my fists. Felt the gauntlets, still intact. Good. Steel is steel, even in hell. Then I heard it, the first sound that was not whispering. Boots. Hundreds of them. Heavy, synchronized. I turned. And I saw them. Warriors, towering, wrapped in black and iron. Symbols of a two-headed eagle smeared across their armor. Their eyes glowed like furnaces. They were soldiers, but more than soldiers, priests of war. And behind them, machines the size of skyscrapers moved on thundering legs. The ground shuddered. I should have felt fear. Instead, I felt something worse. Recognition. I had built my life fighting crime, fighting corruption, fighting men who made themselves gods through fear. But here, in this place, I realized something terrible. They already won. The ritual of survival days, or maybe years, I can't tell here, passed like a wound that never closes. I walked through ruined cathedrals, through streets paved with bones. The air tastes of incense and rot. Every dawn, if it is dawn, if such a thing exists here, I perform the ritual. Check the belt. Grapnel gun, broken. Explosives, 3 left. Smoke pellets, useless. I tried them once, and the smoke came alive, whispering my secrets back to me. I smashed them beneath my boot. Every ritual ends with the same moment. I whisper to myself, I am Batman. Gotham needs me. But Gotham is not here. Gotham may never have existed. And the shadows laugh. The thing I fought, it came on the 3rd day. Or the 30th. I heard a cry. Human. Weak. Pleading. I followed it, because that's what I do. Because every life matters. The cry led me to an alley, carved between stone towers engraved with screaming saints. A child was there, or something wearing the shape of a child. Pale, trembling, calling for its mother. I moved forward. I spoke softly. I told it not to be afraid. And then it looked at me. Its mouth tore open too wide. Its voice became 100 voices. Its skin melted like wax, revealing teeth where there should have been eyes. The child lunged. I fought. Instinct, training, muscle, and memory. My fists broke bone that wasn't bone. My gauntlets split flesh that wasn't flesh. And when it screamed, the walls screamed with it. When it was over, I was drenched in black blood that smelled like burned wires. The child's body melted into nothing, but the whispers grew louder. You killed it. You killed him. You killed them all. I pressed my hands against my ears, but the cowl pressed back. That night, if there is night here, I dreamed of Gotham. But Gotham was not Gotham. The skyscrapers were spires. The gargoyles were angels, nailed to stone, bleeding fire. And from the rooftops, I watched a sea of bodies march beneath banners of the double-headed eagle. I whispered, "Where am I?" And the city whispered back, "You are in the 41st millennium, detective. You are in the Imperium of man." I woke with the taste of ash in my mouth and the certainty that I had never left the dream. The cycle of ash and prayer. I learned quickly that this galaxy does not run on justice. It runs on ritual. Every morning, before the sun that isn't a sun rises through the ash clouds, I hear them chanting. Endless voices, ragged with hunger and devotion, crying out prayers to an emperor who does not answer. I watch them from the shadows, because that's where I belong. Thousands of men, women, children, heads shaved, backs bent, scraping the floor of a cathedral so vast its spires pierce the clouds. They scrub until their fingernails fall off. They chant until their throats bleed. And when they collapse, the priests drag them away and feed their corpses to the pyres. The smoke feeds the chants. The cycle continues. It is not justice. It is obedience. And yet, I catch myself whispering their prayers. Not because I believe, but because here, in this place, silence is worse. The whispers return if you stop chanting. My new enemies in Gotham, my enemies wore masks. Here, they wear armor that weighs more than a car. The first time I saw an Inquisitor, I thought him a parody of the wealthy tyrants I used to stalk. A towering figure clad in robes and armor, carrying a staff topped with a golden skull. His face was pale, like candle wax left too long to melt. His eyes burned with a fanatic's fire. He looked at me as if he could see through my cowl, through my flesh, down to the core of what I am. He called me aberration. He called me Xenos. He called me heretic. I told him my name. I told him I was not his enemy. He laughed, a sound like chains breaking. And then he ordered his soldiers to burn the square where I stood. Flame poured from their weapons. People screamed, bodies lit like torches, their prayers turning to shrieks. I ran. Grapnel. Shadows. Instinct. I moved as I always have. But the fire licked at my cape, at my skin. It smelled like my parents' alley. It smelled like pearls breaking on stone. I almost didn't escape. Almost. And I understood. In Gotham, criminals feared me. Here, I am the criminal. A new ritual every night. I carve a mark into stone. A tally. I tell myself it keeps me sane. Keeps track of the days. But the wall is cracked. The stone bleeds. The tally marks move when I look away. Still, I keep cutting them. Slash. 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 The sound is comforting. Like a heartbeat. Like the flutter of wings. But sometimes, when I carve, I hear another hand carving back. From the other side of the wall. It doesn't speak. It doesn't breathe. It only carves. The temptation of the shadows are not mine anymore. In Gotham, shadows obeyed me. I bent them, became them, turned them into fear. Here, the shadows are alive. They reach for me when I sleep. They whisper when I walk. Sometimes, they form shapes, wings, claws, faces of people I loved. I saw Alfred once. His face emerging from the wall, eyes hollow, voice whispering, "Why did you leave me?" I reached out. My hand touched cold stone. When I pulled it back, blood smeared my glove. Not his. Mine. The shadows took it. They tasted it. And they laughed. I tell myself not to listen. Not to look. But they know me too well. They say, "You don't belong here." But you could. You could belong. All you must do is give in. Be more than a man. Be less than a man. Be ours. And when they speak, I remember a night in Gotham. A night when I fell into a cave, when I saw wings beating against the dark. When I chose the symbol of the bat. Maybe that choice wasn't mine. Maybe the shadows chose me. And maybe they have finally come to collect. Tonight, I saw them again. The Inquisitors. Their torches lit the spires like funeral pyres. Their voices thundered with accusation. They weren't hunting heretics. They weren't hunting Xenos. They were hunting me. And above their chanting, louder than any prayer, louder than the whispers, came a sound I had not heard in years. A heartbeat. Not mine. Mechanical. Metallic. The heartbeat of something colossal. It shook the ground. It cracked the sky. And when I looked up, I saw it. A giant in black armor, wings of steel across its shoulders, skull mask glaring down. They called it a space marine. But I knew better. I whispered into the ashes, "That's not a man. That's a bat made of iron." And it was coming for me. Hunted by angels of iron, the sound of their armor still lives in my bones. Tum. Tum. Each step of the giant was a thunderclap. The cathedral trembled. Dust fell from the vaulted ceiling, coating my cowl in gray ash. I tried to move. Rooftops, rafters, shadows. I am used to being the predator. I stalked from above, unseen. But here, I was prey. The Marine's eyes glowed in the dark. Every time I shifted, they followed. Every breath I took, they seemed to hear. I fired the grapnel. The hook sank into cracked stone, but the wall bled where it struck. I pulled myself up regardless, muscles burning, cape whipping. And still, the giant advanced. Behind him came the Inquisitors, torches burning, chanting hymns of judgment. Burn the heretic. Kill the mutant. Purge the unclean. Their voices filled the air like a funeral choir. And my name was the hymn. The chase I ran through corridors carved with screaming angels. Statues watched me, their eyes following, their mouths twisted in agony. I tried the smoke pellets again. Reflex. But the moment they burst, the smoke grew claws. Faces. Screams. My smoke betrayed me. My own weapon turned against me. I could hear the Space Marine behind me, steady, relentless, a titan built to erase things like me. I tried to vanish into the shadows, but the shadows betrayed me too. They dragged at my cape. They whispered. They wanted me still. Don't run, Bruce. Don't run. Let them find you. Let us have you. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them I was not afraid. But fear was dripping down my spine, cold and wet, into my boots. And then I stumbled. The betrayal of the cape. My symbol. My shield. It caught on jagged stone, snagged like a noose. I pulled. Harder. Harder. The fabric tore, crying out like an animal. And in that moment of weakness, the Marine's shadow fell over me. He raised his weapon, a hammer, glowing with electricity, big enough to crush me like an insect. I thought of my parents' alley, of pearls scattering across blood. I thought, so this is how it ends. But the hammer did not fall. The whispering packed instead, the shadows around me surged forward. They wrapped around my legs, my chest, my arms. They dragged me down into the cracks of the cathedral floor. I sank into stone like water. I fell. I fell through screams, through whispers, through wings beating against the dark. And then I landed in silence. A cavern. Black. Endless. The smell of iron and rot. And a voice. Not Alfred. Not Gordon. Not anyone human. It whispered, "You cannot fight them as a man. You cannot fight them as you are. But you could become more. You could be ours." I said nothing. My throat was ash. The voice continued, "They call you heretic. They call you monster. Why not become what they fear? Why not wear the shadows not as a cloak, but as flesh? Why not accept what you have always been?" Images flooded me. Gotham burning. My rogues, Joker, Scarecrow, Bane, all laughing as the Inquisition burned my city. And in their laughter, I saw truth. Here, they would be nothing. Here, I am nothing. Unless I change. The first transformation, I raised my gauntlet hand. It shook. Blood dripped from the torn knuckles. The shadows licked it. They shivered like animals tasting meat. They pressed against my skin, pushing, pulling, merging. My veins burned. My vision split. I felt wings spreading from my back. Not cloth, not leather, but living, writhing shadows. The voice whispered again, "Say the word, detective. Say the word, and you will never be prey again." I almost said it. Almost. But something in me resisted. The memory of Alfred's tea. The warmth of Gordon's voice. The quiet dignity of my parents' graves. I whispered instead, "I am Batman." The shadows recoiled, hissing. The cavern trembled. And I awoke on cold stone. Alone. But something was different. My cape no longer dragged. It moved when I moved. It twitched when I breathed. The escalation the next time they came for me, I did not run. The Inquisitors filled the square with fire. Their chants rose. Their torches turned the night into a sea of flame. The Space Marine stepped forward, hammer raised again. But this time, the shadows moved with me. I leapt. Higher than I should. Faster than I should. The cape spread into wings of living black, carrying me across the fire. I landed among the priests. My gauntlet shattered a skull. My fist broke ribs. The shadows tore at their throats with claws I did not command, but welcomed. The Marine charged. Hammer swung. I dodged. Not entirely. The hammer brushed my side, and agony like lightning split me open. But I did not fall. I laughed. I never laugh in battle. But the sound came, ragged, alien, like something was laughing through me. The Marine froze for half a heartbeat. Enough. My wings wrapped around me, and I vanished into smoke. When the flames cleared, the square was empty. But the whispers were louder. I look at myself now in the reflection of broken glass. The cowl remains. The eyes remain. But the cape is alive. It breathes with me. It watches. And sometimes, when I blink, my reflection blinks at a different time. Sometimes it smiles when I do not. I ask myself if I am still Bruce Wayne, if I am still Batman, or if I have already given the answer the shadows wanted. And when I close my eyes, I hear the voice again, closer now, almost tender. Good. Very good. Soon, Detective, you won't just haunt Gotham. You will haunt the galaxy. The mirror of shadows, I don't sleep anymore. Not truly. When I close my eyes, the dreams come, but they aren't dreams. They're corridors. Stone and bone, infinite, lined with mirrors. Each mirror shows me a Gotham that never was. One where my parents lived. Where Bruce Wayne grew into a man who never wore the mask. He smiles. He marries. He drinks champagne under chandeliers. His children run through Wayne Manor, laughing. But the mirrors crack when I stare too long. The laughter turns to screams. And the children's faces melt into masks. My masks. Behind every reflection, I see the bat. The same bat that flew at me in the cave as a child, wings wide, teeth sharp, eyes glowing red. I thought I chose it. I thought it was my symbol. But the mirrors whisper otherwise. No, Bruce. We chose you. You were always ours. The ghosts of Gotham, the shadows, grow bolder now. They don't just whisper. They were faces. Alfred visits me. His voice is steady, but his eyes bleed. He says, "You failed them, sir. You failed Gotham. You failed me." Gordon comes next, badge still on his chest, but the badge is burning, melting into wax. He says, "You should never have left. You should never have lived." And then the Joker. Always him. His smile stretches across the sky, a wound carved in reality. He laughs, and the laugh becomes the chant of the Inquisition. Burn the heretic. Burn the heretic. Burn the heretic. I cover my ears, but sound here isn't sound. It's inside me. I taste it on my tongue. I feel it in my teeth. Sometimes I scream. But the scream never leaves my throat. The shadows swallow it whole. The hunger I don't eat. Not food. Not water. Not anymore. The shadows feed me. I don't know how. I don't want to know how. But when they curl around my chest, when they seep into my skin, I feel full. Sated. Sometimes I wonder what the price is. And then I look at the tally marks carved in stone. They're longer now. Sharper. Some are symbols I never made. Some are written in a language I should not know. When I run my hand across them, they pulse like veins. And I realize they aren't tally marks. They're teeth. And the wall is hungry too. The temptation, the voice comes more often now. Not just in dreams. When I walk through the ruined cathedrals. When I crouch above the starving masses. When I stalk the inquisitors as they burn their cities. Always the same whisper. Always the same offer. Why fight them as a man? Why cling to weakness? You could become more. You could be the darkness itself. You could be vengeance unending. The galaxy would kneel. And sometimes, I want to say yes. Because here, there is no Gotham. No Alfred. No Gordon. No hope. Only fire. Only blood. Only whispers. I catch myself imagining it. An army of shadows at my back. The Imperium kneeling in fear. The warp itself bending to my will. I imagine being the thing even this cursed galaxy fears. And for a moment, I like it. The breaking point had happened tonight. I was hunting again. Not criminals. Not thugs. The inquisitors. They burned another district. Thousands of innocents screaming, ash filling the streets. I leapt down among them, cape flaring, no, wings flaring. The shadows tore through their ranks, faster, sharper than any blade. One priest begged me. He dropped his weapon, fell to his knees. He said, "Mercy. In the Emperor's name, mercy." And for a moment, I wanted to give it. But the shadows surged. My hands moved without command, and I crushed his skull against the stones. The sound was wet, hollow. The blood sprayed across my cowl. Warm. Sweet. And the worst part, I didn't feel guilt. I felt satisfaction. The voice laughed, low and triumphant. "Good, detective. Very good. Do it again. Do it again." And I did. The reflection later, I found water. A cracked basin filled with rain, or something like rain. I leaned down to wash the blood from my mask. But the reflection wasn't mine. It was the Joker's face. Paint melting into shadow. Eyes burning red. And when it smiled, my lips moved with it. I struck the basin. The water splashed. The reflection vanished. But my hands were still stained. And no amount of water could wash them clean. I don't know what I am anymore. Not Bruce Wayne. Not Batman. Not man. Not Shadow. Something in between. Something worse. And tonight, as I carve another mark into the bleeding wall, the whispers grow into voices. Louder. Clearer. They chant a name. Not Bruce. Not Batman. A name I have never heard, and yet feels like it belongs to me. They whisper, Knight of the Warp. And I am afraid, not because it isn't true, but because it might be. The hunt ends tonight. I can feel it in the marrow of my bones, in the way the shadows twitch against my cape, in the way the whispers have become a choir. I tried to resist. For days, for months, for years, I don't know how long. Time here is a wound that never scabs over. But the Imperium has found me again. Their torches turn the night into day. Their hymns rise like knives. And at their front, another giant. Larger than the first I faced. His armor is gold. His presence unbearable, like a sun made flesh. He calls himself Custodian, a guardian of the Emperor. When he points his blade at me, the fire reflects in my cowl. He doesn't see a man. He sees prey, an infection. And in his voice, I hear the truth. The Imperium will never stop hunting me. Never. Unless I become what they fear most. The choice the shadows know. They wrap around me, whispering faster, louder. They no longer tempt. They command. Do it, detective. Do it. Shed the mask. Shed the man. Be the night eternal. Be the fear they cannot kill. I close my eyes. For the first time since my parents died, I pray. Not to their emperor. Not to God. To the bat. The thing that chose me in the cave. The thing that has never left. The thing that waits still, wings spread, eyes burning red. I whisper, I am vengeance. I am the night. And the shadows answer. The becoming it hurts. God, it hurts. My bones crack, bend, stretch. My spine tears open, wings bursting forth, not fabric, not smoke, but flesh of darkness, veins filled with fire. The cowl melts into my skin. The eyes blaze white. The gauntlets grow talons. My teeth lengthen, sharpen. I hear my own scream, but it is not mine. It is the scream of something ancient. Something the warp has been waiting for. The custodian hesitates. Just for a second. That's all I need. I move faster than thought. Wings envelop him, claws tear into golden armor. His blood sprays like molten light. He screams, not in fear, but in rage. But rage is nothing against hunger. And tonight, I am nothing but hunger. When it is over, I stand above his corpse. The torches are extinguished. The hymns have turned to silence. The inquisitors kneel, not in devotion, in terror. And I realize, I am no longer hunted. I am the hunter. Reflection before the end, I used to fight for Gotham. I used to fight for justice. But here, justice is ash. Here, vengeance is all that breathes. Maybe I am not Bruce Wayne anymore. Maybe I never was. Maybe the boy who swore an oath in a cave was just a vessel. A doorway for the thing that waited in the dark. And now the doorway is open. Forever. The curse, I want to tell you something. You listening now. Don't pity me. Don't mourn me. Because I have become what this galaxy deserves. A shadow that never dies. A fear that never sleeps. They thought their Imperium unbreakable. They thought their emperor eternal. But I am older than emperors. I am older than gods. I am the whisper in every prayer. I am the scream in every silence. I am the shadow that even darkness fears. And if you ever find yourself in this galaxy, if you ever look into the night and feel eyes watching, don't whisper my name. Don't call me Batman. Call me what I am now. The Warp's Dark Knight. And remember this, I was never a hero. I was always the curse.